Everybody Hates Rand is a Wheel of Time podcast that will contain spoilers for all 14 books. So if you're anti-spoiler, pause this, read all 14 books, and come back. We'll be here, waiting.
Our title is a joke and is meant to be taken as such. In the context of this podcast, everybody refers to us and our cat. You are free to feel however you want about Rand, who is a fictional character. Don't DM us.
The world is a mess, Dark One stretching out his hand. The dragon's reborn, the fire's been fanned, but everybody hates Rand. Everybody hates Rand. Everybody hates Rand.
What's happening?
I wish I could say something, important was happening, but, my friend Julie just told me that, a friend of hers posted tasteful nudes on Instagram to celebrate the anniversary of her father's passing.
Well, the end of that sentence,
I know!
gut punched me.
It, takes you out like a train.
What the fuck?
Yeah, so Julie is like, I'm literally dying. And I'm like, yeah, the
Like-
secondhand embarrassment is horrific.
Is she legit, my poor dad, or is she LOL, my dead dad?
Well, her caption is 1 year without the man who raised me. It's time for reflection and
In my
grief
new
and
body.
celebration in her, tasteful nudes. She's got, one of
Side
these
boobs.
where she's, covering it, and then she's got, her leggies in the bathtub. Yeah, and it's if you want to post your quote-unquote tasteful nudes on Instagram, please feel empowered to do so. Just do not connect them to the 1 year anniversary of your father dying. I feel like Freud would have a field day with this.
If there was a tasteful way to do it, then I would fully put on Instagram the bruise that's currently on my ass.
Oh no, did it finally show up?
Yeah, it's really hilarious looking. Last Friday, I sat up in my room watching Kong Skull Island with Devin and Shannon, which was fucking stupid. And then I get up to go downstairs when we're done talking, and immediately, I pick up Tibble to take him downstairs, and halfway down the stairs, I was in my sock feet on the carpet, and I just, fell right on my booty.
It was so sad.
My butt was very sore for a couple of days.
I bet.
It's much less so now, but there is a pretty funny bruise developing.
Is it, how big?
Big? Yeah, about that big.
Dang, girl, that's a big booty bruise.
It's green. That's what
Ooh.
my body bruises.
That's wretched. You just got a full green apple on your bum.
Yep, it's just
We should draw a little stem and leaf on it. That can be your tasteful way to do it.
Look at this.
I got
My one ass cheek with a bruise on it.
Yeah, very tasteful.
Oh, God.
I'm sorry about your bum bruise. One time I fell down the stairs at my mom's house. It was right after we moved back from New York, and she has wooden stairs.
Oh, yeah, those are rough.
So I got the nastiest bruise on my ass.
Ooh.
But I understand your impulse to be I need to show people this bruise on my ass. It's some switch is flipped in my brain, and I'm you want to see the bruise on my ass?
Well, it's how when you have any sort of injury, you say to everyone, do you want to see...
Yeah.
My sister Anne is notorious for doing this. She says, do you want to see the gross insert whatever injury she has? She'll just peel off her band, and I'm always no, and then she shows me anyway.
Yeah, well, that's sibling energy right there.
Yeah, it's disgusting, and I get the impulse when it's bruises, less so with open, gaping wounds.
Yeah.
But a bruise is just you want to see something very funny. What? Devin has been, yeah. Just cut it off from her right there.
The nodding I just did was very patronizing. I'm sorry, Devin.
Well, he brought up, have you seen the screen cap from some animated DC movie? It's got Harley Quinn in it or whatever, and there's just this anthropomorphic shark guy, whatever, And there's also, like, a grizzled kind of Castiel motherfucker in, like, a trench coat who is John Constantine.
Okay.
Who's a comics character. And the, not just implication, because it's very explicit, is that he's, like, awkwardly seeing his ex, who is the anthropomorphic shark man.
What?
So you're like, oh, John Constantine dated a shark.
Cool.
Man, yeah, and you're like, rad, not only is he bisexual, but he's also into sharks.
Yeah.
Or something.
Hey.
Anyway, apparently Devin was watching that movie and was like, told me about it, and was like, I would just kill for like a primetime drama of their relationship.
Yeah.
Because it was definitely not based on the characters themselves, just like a sex thing. It was like a committed, loving relationship that just failed.
Oh, sad.
And I'm like, that's adorable, and I would write it if I could. And he's like, nothing's stopping you. And I'm like, the amount of research I'd have to do to write any sort of comics-related thing is untenable.
What if we just made our own, and it was some other gruff FBI-esque man, and he's dating like an
Oh, you're saying...
but it's like a different type of shark.
Just like take that image
Yeah.
and like
and just like run with it. Yeah, but like instead of a great white or whatever, it's a hammerhead shark.
Yeah, you're right.
Or
we could do that. It's basically what... Isn't there like an anthropomorphic shark guy in Breath of the Wild or something? With Link?
Oh, I think you're right. I don't play the Zelda games. But
What is it with twinks and giant sharks?
Well, why don't you tell us?
I'll explore that. Anyway, that was a sidebar that I can't wait to delete. What were we talking about? Bruises?
Bruises.
Yeah. Bruises are fun.
Your character could be named like Jack Istanbul.
The Adventures of Jack Istanbul and the shark guy is named King Shark, so it could be Pope Shark.
Jack Istanbul.
Why did I go from king to pope?
Maybe because of like Constantinople.
You're stupid. Oh, I know this has to stay in. Sorry, Devin.
This is Everybody Hates Friends, and against all evidence to the contrary, we are your friendly neighborhood Wheel of Time podcast. I'm Sally Kutcher.
I'm Pope Shark. I'm Emily Jushaw.
No, this is Pope Shark.
Welcome to Pope Shark. Fuck me running. Okay.
Okay. Do I need to be closer to the mic? I tried to sit a little far away because I was transcribing today, and my
last
voice
episode
is
was
very loud.
weird. It was picking you up a lot, and me not
Yeah.
so much. I don't know what the deal was.
So I'm trying to give you your screen time.
I don't need it. I don't know. I think probably the mic is just
Present mic.
Present mic.
Now we've named it. It's present mic.
We can't go into a My Hero Academia tangent, or we'll never leave.
Maybe our next podcast will just be about My Hero Academia.
We'll have to wait a few years for all the good stuff to start coming out in the anime.
That is true. We could just read the manga. You basically do.
No. Only for the last, few months. There's, a gap between where the anime is and where I actually started paying attention to the manga that I have, no fucking clue, really.
So you'll just bring Ian in to tell us.
You're right, yeah, he could be our third co-host.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
I mean, it would be fun, except Ian would then realize what a flaming homosexual I am.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know
always
if
a
we
danger.
quite had that
Siblings.
conversation.
Because you'd be like, I'm gay for everyone.
Yeah, I'd be
Right?
like, the bunny lady
The bunny lady
is sexy.
She's the definition of step on me.
Yeah.
Or crush me with her thighs.
Yeah, please crush my head between those thighs. And Ian would be like, what? So I don't know if that would work, but we can give it a shot.
Okay, fucking Lord of Chaos. Fucking, So, we finally get to see the Saldean horse stunts.
I know, thank God. And Rand isn't even paying attention.
And there's like some random tangent about white stones. What was that about?
I don't know. I was like, is this the point?
What is happening with this subplot?
I don't know.
I can't keep it straight.
It's like Robert Jordan had some like bad edibles and was like, this is what
It's almost like I'm reading the book for the first time. Except when I was reading the book for the first time, I was too caught up with the 9 million other subplots to pay attention to this one. And now I'm like, oh, here's one that's actually mystifying. Perhaps something will reveal itself to me at the end.
But seriously, it was like I was reading it for the first time too. I was like, I do not remember these white stones.
Yeah.
I don't remember the location where we're at. We're 9,000 Saldean cavalry
outside of Camelin?
are doing horse stunts.
Close enough for Rand to ride back,
Yeah.
I guess.
I mean, they're doing kick-ass horse stunts. Let's not skip over that. They are, like, doing flips.
Yeah.
And riding 2 horses, their feet on 2 saddles.
And the visual of Bashere just inspecting them while standing on his saddle, just, like, surveying his horse boys.
Yeah.
Is stunningly sexual.
I know.
I know we say this about Bashere all the time, but
it is like...
his vibes are so sexy.
Yeah. I mean, imagine this tiny man. Let's say Bashere is like 5'4".
Yeah. I love that for him.
And he's just like... this man with like a little silver in his hair. Just like beautifully compact.
His big wife is going to pick him up like he's a bundle of grapes.
Yeah.
And be like,
and just devour him.
My husband.
Yeah, and he'll be like, excellent. And he's just standing on a full-blown horse.
A full-ass horse.
Just standing on his 2 feet as the horse is moving, and he's just inspecting his troops.
Anyway, this is why if you ever get a graffitied Wheel of Time book for me, I cross out a lot of the country names and put in their real-world inspirations. Like, I just cross out Andor and put in England. I frequently cross out Saldia and put in Mongolia. Because Mongolians were known for, I don't know if horse stunts specifically, but they were known for having bows that could be used from horseback and utilizing them to great effect.
Yes.
And I assume that, if you're just, like, bored living in the Mongolian steppes with your giant fleet of horses, that you would also start developing some sweet-ass stunts, but who's to say?
Are horses the, like, precursor to, like, doing cool skateboard tricks?
I feel like, yeah.
Like, watch me kickflip my horse?
Yeah, like, if fucking TikTok existed back in the days of Genghis Khan.
I feel like Davin Bashere would do excellent on TikTok. Everyone would be like, this is our hot dad.
Davin Bashere would have the most confusing TikToks because they would just be like following Rand around.
Yeah. No, it'd be everyone in Wheel World would be like,
blurry.
Yes, show me what the Dragon Reborn is doing today. And here's Davin Bashere. Yeah, it's like slightly out of focus.
Slips back to front facing. It's way too
Yeah,
close on his
it's like
face.
one eyeball and half his nose.
He's like, what the fuck?
It would be so charming.
God, I love him.
It would be so good. Okay, anyway, Davin Bashere's out here being a sexual powerhouse.
Yeah, Rand uses his little spyglass to look at some rocks. Very unclear. And then Bashere's wife, who is there, is like, does he amuse you, my husband? And Rand's like, tell him that it's great, it looks great, and then leaves.
Yeah.
Without speaking to Bashere. Again, this is all some sort of subterfuge for, like, disguising whatever is about to go down in Ilion, which again, we don't really know. It'll be a surprise to us, at least. Rand rides back to Camelin. He's got his usual honor guard of ale, maidens, and mountain men, or whatever.
Yeah, I can't remember what they're called.
On his way back, there is an assassination attempt. He, happens to look up and see someone aiming a crossbow at him, so he immediately channels to stop them. But there was another crossbow man somewhere, another sniper who tried hitting him from behind. Luckily, a maiden spotted this and could only defend Rand by using herself as a human shield.
Yeah.
Which is sort of the gig when you're a bodyguard.
Yeah.
Sucks to suck. But of course this immediately puts Rand into a depressive state, and he's pretty much emo throughout the rest of...
Yeah, well, also, a common woman died.
Yeah,
with a third crossbow bolt.
He finds out that he's like, okay, I'm very sad about these ale men who died. Believe me, I am very sad. You'll just never see any evidence of it because I will continue to utilize them mercilessly throughout the text. But I'm so sad about this one ale woman who had a beautiful smile, let me note, because women are only as valuable as they are beautiful when they smile. He, like, memorizes her face or whatever, and then he happens to see that some random peasant woman got caught in the crossfire, which, yeah, sucks. If you try to assassinate someone in public, villagers are going to die. And is like, we have to, like, send gold to her family or whatever. Which is like, yeah, that's the decent thing to do, but...
You also don't have to, like, flagellate yourself with the memory of her face.
Yeah.
Because, as Emily has pointed out several times this season, Rand's increasing disregard for his own safety is, in fact, putting other people at risk. Like, we can't guarantee this wouldn't have happened if he had his, you know, more bodyguards with him. But, like, it would have been more eyes watching, you know?
It might have, or just, like, why didn't Rand travel directly to the palace?
Yeah, there you go. There's another one. Like, you don't need to, you don't actually need to be out in the streets if it's obviously a safety issue and people have talked about.
Yeah.
Like, we have precursors for this. Like, this isn't coming as a shock that anyone's trying to assassinate him.
Yeah, he also notes that Sulin, he hasn't seen her for like 8 days, and he's just like, oh, I wonder if I offended her, and it's like, fucking yes, you offended her. But he's like, I don't care about that right now.
He doesn't care about anyone because he's a big, giant bastard man.
Yeah, he... oh, hi, Tybalt.
Hi, buddy. Tybalt looks very dashing in his blue sweater today. Even though his chest hair keeps falling out of it, and he looks very funny. You want to get on the chair? You sure can. There you go.
There he goes. They find out that the would-be assassins were children of the light. I think 4 of them. They catch 4 of them amongst a small band of people. Rand says, okay, execute these 3 and send the last guy back to Pedronile and be like, fuck you. Essentially. And Rand's like, God, gotta add Pedronile's name to my list of fucking to-do.
Mm-hmm.
When it's like, I know there are reasons. But it is a little bit frustrating when you have a character who can teleport and who has an army at his disposal when he is not actually taking care of issues as they arise.
Yeah.
I know that it is a very complex political international problem, that all of these are complex international problems. But like we said with Massima, it's like a day out of Rand's life to go talk to the prophet, and if he can't knock some sense into him, you arrest him.
Yeah.
And then you allow the monarchs to disperse the cult mob.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you take your army outside the White Cloaks and be like, hey, fucking knock knock. Sorry if this is an invasion, but you did try to kill me.
Yeah.
And I invaded countries with
I've invaded countries for less.
Yeah. I invaded countries because I heard a rumor that Morgoth is dead, so...
From the same salesman that told Caitlin.
Yeah, it's just the same guy who's out there. Like, Morgoth is dead.
Spreading this rumor. He's just like, I thought it would be funny. I didn't realize it would escalate.
He's like, I know she's dead. I killed her myself. They're like, what?
What are you saying? Yeah, no, it's very frustrating. Throughout this chapter, we see that too, where Rand is just kind of like ignoring this plot with Bashere, doing the bare minimum there. Some sea folk come to see him in Camelin.
He puts that off, yeah.
Yeah. He does find time to talk to some noblewoman to make sure he and Elaine aren't related, though. He does fit that into his schedule, don't worry. And then he's just like, I'm gonna ignore everything happening in Camelin and just go back to Kyrian, where he does meet with the Aes Sedai, but then Egg is like, there are also sea folk here. He's like, I'll deal with that later. It's like, you're dealing with the Children of the Light later, the Prophet later, the sea folk later, the Shadow later. What are you dealing with?
Literally. Like, what are you doing that can't be done by Berylane or other people, you know?
Yeah.
Like, currently.
Yeah, it makes me so crazy.
This book, yeah, these next few books, it's so difficult because Robert Jordan clearly enters this quagmire with Perrin and Fail and getting stuck in, like, plot hell with them for forever.
Yeah.
But he does the same thing with Rand. It's just harder to spot because Rand has such a wide range of movement.
Yeah, Rand feels busy and looks busy because he's popping all over the place. Not even all over the place, between Caemlyn and Kyrian.
Yeah.
And down to Ilion, I guess,
yeah.
for the next little bit. And then he does his dumb shit with the Shanshin. But it takes him, like, 2.5 books to even, like, actually do the next big thing, what feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's just like, I'm busy. And it's like, bitch, you ain't.
He's in, what I heard Travis Willingham describe in the latest episode of Critical Role as analysis paralysis.
Oh, nice.
This Travis Willingham said immediately before prompting the rest of his party into fighting a dragon. He said, you all are stuck in analysis paralysis. Let's go. This is happening.
Nice.
And I want to say that to Rand. Like,
Yeah.
you just have to do some shit.
Yeah, like...
Sorry if there are, like, consequences to you doing shit, but you are in analysis paralysis. Like, you can't just think about it forever.
Yeah, and I feel like I feel like I'm having deja vu. I feel like I've said this on this podcast at least once or twice, but, like, the only reason Hamlet is an interesting play is that eventually Hamlet makes a decision.
Yeah.
And is like... And it also works because Hamlet is, 2 hours long or
Short
whatever.
form.
Not, 8 books or whatever of Rand sitting around with his dick in his hand, wondering if he and Elaine are related.
Yeah, if this was the only book wherein this was the case,
Yeah.
I'd be at least somewhat interested in it.
Yeah.
Because you could argue that, similar to the way that we have Rand suffering really intense PTSD in book 3, although at least he's very goal-oriented PTSD in that one. In this one, he's also suffering a form of PTSD. Moiraine died in the last book, and that was really traumatizing for him, among a lot of other things that have been happening.
Yeah.
But, like, but we're kind of stuck in this for the next 3-4 books.
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree. Like, if it was one book... Because this is the book where he's like, hey, he's ruling the Ale, he's ruling Kyrian, he's ruling Caemlyn. Like, he's becoming an emperor, and I'm sure that's very taxing and confusing. So, like, I could get it. He's like, I'm trying to figure this all out, and my, political advisor, Moiraine, is dead, and that really sucks. But it's like, this book, into book 7, into book 8.
Yeah, the point of what happens at the end of this book, the box and shit, whatever, the point of doing something like that to your main character is to prompt them to take different actions.
Yeah.
And Rand does start taking different actions, but they're mostly internal, I would say. He just starts thinking worse about himself, thinking worse about everyone.
Yeah, he becomes increasingly more paranoid, which is, again, understandable if you got kidnapped and put into a box.
Yeah, again, internal journeys for characters are only compelling so far as they mirror external journeys.
Yeah.
Otherwise, especially in long form.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, I don't know how many times we can say this. Like, the characters in Wheel of Time need to change more quickly than they do, because the page length is extremely disproportionate to the time length.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just because it's only happening over the course of 2.5 years or whatever, like, we've already read, like, 5,000 pages. I feel like I'm just saying the same things over and over again, but...
What? So is Robert Jordan, so who cares? Rand, yeah, is like, I'm not gonna deal with the, sea folk, and he says Moiraine didn't teach him anything about the sea folk, which I think if we interrogated that line a little bit, more, if we were like, the things Rand is doing and not doing are those that he feels he is prepared to do based on what Moiraine taught him.
Yeah.
That could be interesting and a reflection of the trauma of her death. But, no, he immediately skips off to meet with Elenia, or Elena, I don't remember how her name is spelled, who is really anxious to tell Rand just how, prepared she is to be the Queen of Andor. But Rand just wants to find out whether he and Elaine are closely related, and he has a scare because, what's her name, refers to Morgause and Tigraine as cousins.
Mm-hmm.
And then Rand is like, wait. you guys are nobility. If you were peasants, would you even be considered related? And she's like, no. And he's like, oh,
Thank God. I can be horny in peace.
I can be horny. I can do what I want again. He's like, God, I hate myself. And then is like, I'm going to Kyrian.
Don't tell Avienda.
It's like, what the fuck? We then switch over to Egg, who is coming back to the ale camp after her morning canoodling with Gawain. Which I don't know what there is to say about that. They're literally just meeting to make out.
Yeah, and it's like, it's fine, kids. Do what you need to do, but it's also just ridiculous.
Yeah, Egg's like, how dare the innkeeper look at me like that? And I'm like, for all she knows, you're fucking in her dining room.
Yeah, like,
bruh.
Girl.
She's like, I am so horny. I sat on Gawain's lap. And it's like, okay. So not that.
It's not that scandalous.
If she'd been like, I sucked his dick so good, I would have been like, whoa, Egg.
Whoa. Okay.
This has been an escalation.
Yeah, but she's like, I sat in his lap.
And then immediately got off when I...
Probably felt his erection.
Ew. Oh.
Listen, I'm just being practical.
Yeah, it's not like he's wearing a...
What kind of breeches is he wearing?
What do... Small clothes. What do those constitute? Sadly, when I picture small clothes, I can only picture, Mormon kids will know what this is, but garments.
Yeah, I literally have the same thing.
It's particularly troubling when you've seen your dad a couple of times. Just... My dad always
Time to roast Chris, weekly time to roast Chris.
Yeah, there's a segment on the podcast. My dad's very modest. He doesn't even like taking his shirt off at the pool.
Oh, baby.
But occasionally, through 18 plus years of living with him, I'll like walk past him or whatever when he's in his undies. Which for Mormon people who go and do certain rituals in Mormon temples, it sounds very culty to people who weren't raised in the religion, and to some people who were raised in the religion, such as myself. But my parents and my siblings have all done this, and they all wear what are called garments, and which are basically just like underclothes. Other religions have this. Orthodox Jews have something like this. But they are particularly heinous looking, because they're literally just like white cut-off shorts and like white little cap sleeve tees.
Yeah.
And I'm intimately acquainted with all of these because for like 3 years I did all the laundry in our house.
It's very tender.
Because it was like the only way that I could self-soothe my anxiety. I don't know what was going on with me from in high school. Especially because I worked at a dry cleaners. You'd think I'd have had enough of laundry.
Maybe it just felt familiar.
Yeah, it was just like, time to dissociate in the laundry room.
Do laundry, yeah.
And my mom was like, fucking love this.
Becky was like, oh, yeet.
Love having someone help with the laundry.
I mean, especially there's 6 people in that house.
Oh yeah, there was tons. Always.
That's so many people.
Yeah, Anne changes outfits like 4 times a day.
Okay, good for her. But also, like, Anne, it's a lot of laundry. Is it because she's peeing her pants?
Things people have heard about my sister Anne in this episode alone. She always shows people her disgusting wounds. She changes her outfits so much and she pees her pants all the time.
We love her. She's beautiful and perfect.
Yeah, I can roast my sister Anne because she's actually a perfect being.
Yeah.
And if you met her, you'd be in love with her immediately, like everyone is.
She's literally so cute and pretty and sweet and smart. So we gotta get her where we can get her.
Anyway, the few times I've seen my dad in his garments, he's been like, he'll like spot me out of the corner of his eye and immediately like hunch over like fucking Bigfoot, like trying to shield himself and like scuttle away.
Like some sort of hermit crab without its shell. Oh, baby.
So funny. Anyway, when I picture small clothes, that's the visual I get.
I get too. They're always white. It's always the like shorts, little sleeveys.
Yeah, go to Disneyland,
shorts.
look for men in white t-shirts, and you can start spotting the Mormons, because you can see the garment lines.
I had a teacher in high school who, like, all the, like, very, very religious Mormon girls would be like, oh my god, she started wearing her garments. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? They were like, look at her shirt.
About
you could,
one of
like,
the
see
teachers?
it. Yeah. Because she was really young. She was like fresh out of college. And she was gonna get married. And so I think there was like some change happening. But they were like, look at her arms. And I'm like, I'm not gonna just be like, yo, teach, can you just like flex for me?
Flex, show us your garments.
Yeah. So anyway, you can spot them though if you know what to look for. It's like bird watching.
Yeah. You'll just like, when I was a kid, my dad, we would like be on an elevator in our Disneyland hotel or whatever, and the other family would get off, and my dad would be like, they were Mormons, and I'd be like, what? Whoa, how could you tell?
You can smell them.
I live the wild like this.
I mean, it's also a good guess that any given day at Disneyland, most of
now you can easily
clientele.
spot them because they're all in BYU apparel, but
yeah, they're very proud of that college.
I know, it's very,
Like, who's
not
that
much
proud
to be proud of.
of a university?
Weird people who don't have personalities otherwise. Okay. What was I saying?
Eggy's walking back.
Yeah, Eggy's walking back. There's not much to say about her and Gawain canoodling. Status quo there.
Yeah.
She gets back to the tents and finds out that all the wise ones are in a meeting. So all their apprentices are just having like a little day off.
Yeah, it's very cute.
They are having like a, what were those called? A readathon.
Yeah.
So while Egg is chatting with these apprentices about various things, she finds out that Rand is in town. And she's like, decides to get up and go see him. And kind of like, I don't know what I can't remember what her goal in particular is. She's very anxious to get to him.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Maybe she doesn't want him to say anything about her.
Anyway,
So, like, that's a concern for her throughout, is that one of the Aes Sedai will spot her, or someone who is with them will spot her and connect her to the mysterious
Green sister
who is in the city. But she runs over to the palace, waylays a servant to escort her to Rand's chambers, which she goes into, like, the anteroom, and it is, it's described as, like, a miniature throne room, and I'm picturing, like, the Hall of Mirrors in Versailles, because there's so many mirrors, which is just, like, bizarre, because this room has never been described to us in Rand's chambers in Kyrie and otherwise, and maybe I've just missed it. But, like, Egg talks about how the maidens never really announce her when she walks in, so she has walked in on Rand while he's in the bath before.
Yeah.
Which is actually genuinely hilarious.
I know, like, why don't we get that scene?
He's like, what the?
Come on!
She's like, oh my god. But, like, would he be having a bath in his room full of mirrors? I like to think Rand, egotistical as he is, even, would not be down for that.
Maybe, is there, like, another room?
I don't know.
That she can, maybe...
Who knows?
Yeah, but...
Weird, nonetheless. Egg is, like, covered in dust and sweat.
Yeah.
She and Rand have, an otherwise charming interaction, I think. They actually treat each other like human beings, generally.
Wow.
I know, shocking. The Egg is like, this is what you have to do with the Aes Sedai. Just be, like, really, really humble. Like, don't be a jerk to them. And you know that you can't... Oh, I think what she was worried about was because she thought that Rand took Alviren's letter at face value.
Yeah.
Which I'm not sure how she got that impression. Maybe he said something in book 5 that...
I don't remember, but I remember him being like, fuck this.
Yeah, well, in his head, he was like, well, these are clearly both attempts at manipulation.
Yeah.
So I don't know why she's so convinced that he is like, oh yeah, for sure Alviren is telling the truth.
Yeah.
But she's like, you know, you can't trust Aleda or Alviren, like, no one here wants to help you, they just want to take you to the White Tower.
Yeah.
And he's like, so I can trust your people, who I literally have not seen or met?
Yeah.
And she's like, shh.
Shut up.
She's like, how dare you argue with me?
Be quiet. You're stupid. No one likes you.
He's like, it's good advice, Egg, thanks. And she's like, oh, by the way, there's some sea folk in town who are interested in seeing you. And she tells us that she knows what's going on. And I presume this is because she knows via Elaine and Nynaeve, who were on that Sea Folk ship back in Book 4, that the Sea Folk have a Dragon Reborn Karakarn equivalent. So I think Egg has guessed, although Robert Jordan does not give it to us plainly, because why would he give us anything plainly? I think she's guessed that they are just here to, like, greet Rand as the Coromor and establish some sort of bargain with him about what that means. But also, for some godforsaken reason, she does not tell Rand this.
Yeah.
She just, like, keeps it to herself and blatantly says that she is keeping it to herself. It's like, why? What possible use?
Because communication is never the answer.
I know,
Robert Jordan, this is a 14-book thesis to argue that communication is bad.
He's like, everything works out fine in the end as long as nobody talks to each other.
Yeah.
And it's like, sure, but it'll take us 14 books to get there when it could have taken 7.
Yeah.
Buddy, half the time.
Yeah.
If people were just like, here's what I want, here's what you want, here's what I know, here's what you know.
Yeah.
Let's hash it out. Let's put up a serial killer board tracking the Forsaken.
Listen, Matt
And
would
just
love
knock them out.
Yeah. Again, the elite Forsaken kill squad.
Yeah, Matt would be like at home base being like, I have pinpointed Grandal's location. And they'd be like, great, thank you, Detective Goodall.
Thank you.
Again, the argument for Matt as a detective.
It's so good. And then you just have his squad of elite assassins, which I can't remember who we said.
I don't know.
Brigitte, Gaul,
Yeah.
Davram Bashir.
I think we said anyone who isn't doing anything
Yeah.
elsewhere that we would like them to be doing something.
We're just gonna collect all of the people we love
Yeah.
and give them to Matt.
For his band of brothers.
Yeah.
His Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah, his man horse of the realm.
His man whores of the realm. Stupid. Anyway, while Edwin and Rand are talking, there's a knock on the door and one of the maidens is like, hey, the Aes Sedai are here. And Rand's like, oh, they're fucking early. And Egg's like, oh my god, I have to hide.
Yeah.
And Rand's like, hold on. He's also periodically talking to himself, which is creeping Egg out. But he's like, stand right here. And he, like, makes her invisible. He's like, just don't move, and it won't be able to see you. She's like, okay. Then the Aes Sedai come in. There are 3 of them. Coiren, the Grey, who's in charge of the embassy. In charge, in air quotes.
Yeah.
Galena, who I believe is actually in charge of the embassy, who's red. And Nisun, who Egg knows, and is brown, I think. And they are followed by a bunch of young women who are carrying boxes of gold. And Rand, to his credit, immediately looks at all of their faces to see whether they're Aes Sedai. But Egg, over in her corner, thinks that won't necessarily help him because there are women who are young enough that they don't, who have been Aes Sedai for such a short amount of time that they have not yet achieved that look.
Yeah.
But again, she does not tell Rand this. If I were Rand, I would just be like, hey, you could have men carry the gold.
Yeah.
I'll send some for you.
Yeah.
Next time you want to bring me presents.
Boom.
Boom. Problem
Solution,
solved,
baby.
baby! Just 3 brain cells, that's all it takes.
He doesn't have that.
He was like, women are never threats to me.
He's like, I literally...
Unless they look like my visual of women threat.
He was like, I just saw 2 women die, so I'm very sensitive about women, and I cannot say no women.
Nah.
It's like, just be like, I have literally 9 bajillion ale at my beck and call.
It is also like, why are they employing women servants, like, to do heavy lifting?
Yeah, it is not in line with the gender structure of this world at all, so it should be, like, the number, like, a huge red flag.
Yeah, you're just like, what the fuck? Aes Sedai never just use whip. It's not like Aes Sedai are so anti-men in general that they're like, we only employ women.
Yeah.
There are male servants everywhere in the tower.
Yeah.
They have 500 soldier boys that are following them.
Yeah, bring the frat house with you.
So yeah, huge red flag. No idea why no one picks up on it, except that it's convenient for the plot. Rand has a brief conversation with the Aes Sedai wherein he's like, please stop channeling, and they're like, and he's like, no, really, stop, and they stop, and he's like, thanks.
And they're like, oh shit.
They're like, oh shit, but then later they're like, he can't actually.
What they get.
He can't actually know. And Egg's like, no, he gets the magic goosebumps. It's real, I saw it.
Magic goosebumps.
His Saidar senses are tingling.
Yeah.
Da-da-da.
That's the noise they make. That's what Lutheran does. He like blows a kazoo. Everyone's like, oh, I must be channeling the kazoo
fuck.
is out.
His war kazoo. This has been a really chaotic episode. But then I said, "I like look at these presents we brought you. They're very shiny, aren't they?" And Rand's like, "Yes, I am but a greedy tyrant. Shower me in gold. Stick $1 bills in my small
G-string.
clothes."
Yeah, in my garments.
Stupid.
I'm sorry to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for using
Don't
your...
apologize to them.
You're right.
Well,
apology rescinded.
until they apologize for oppressing LGBTQ people.
Right. So stick a dollar bill in his garments, please.
Can't think of anything less sexy.
Exactly.
Which is the point.
Just tuck it in the little cap sleeve.
But Rand's like playing along, presenting himself as a power-hungry
Yeah.
tyrant who's only into gold. And these Aes Sedai are just like, oh my god, he's such an idiot. Which, to be fair to them...
He is, just not quite in the way
yeah,
they
he's
think.
not the idiot that they think he is, but he does still fall into their trap.
Yeah. Because he just is so dumb.
Yeah. And has no sense of self-preservation.
Yeah, and it's just got the weirdest relationship to all women. Bastard.
But he's like, so what's the deal? Why are you here? And they're like, well, we're here to escort you back to the White Tower. And he's like, okay, great. Well, when I'm ready to go to the White Tower, he's like, I'll definitely go to the White Tower eventually. I just have shit to take care of. And they're like, oh, 3 days perhaps? And he's like, how about I'll call you?
Yeah.
And they're like, ugh. And he's like, dismissed. And they leave. It's very brief.
Yeah.
Interaction. And we see from the Aes Sedai point of view later that they're all pretty skeeved out by him. But, you know, it's pretty typical for Aes Sedai.
Yeah, he makes one little, like, how's Alviarin? And Galena's like, she's fine.
Yeah.
And then she was like, wait, that was a mistake.
Well, I think it's like, the implication is it's a Taviran thing that she didn't talk at all.
Yeah.
And then everyone's like, how do you even fucking know Alviarin? And it's like, they're Black Aja together. But also it's like, okay, weird.
Yeah, just more scheming.
Yeah, they also are like, some Aes Sedai was also in the room with us, or some women who can channel.
Yeah.
They're like, Moira's definitely still alive. And he's like, Egg is like,
No, kind of.
kind of.
I think this is a joke.
It's the 3rd episode in a row we've referenced
It's so funny, though. What does this sound like? Sounds like Bruce!
It sounds like Bruce! Sounds like Bruce!
You guys, it's so funny. I can't even... I think it's only funny to me and Emily.
It's our very particular niche.
Okay.
So, after they leave, Egg and Rand sort of continue their conversation without getting anywhere, really.
Yeah.
Egg's like, please don't tell them I'm here. Or no, she said that to one of the maidens. She cannot bring herself to ask Rand that. Because, I don't know, power dynamics, whatever.
Yeah.
But she's like, please be careful. And he's like, please be honest with me. And she's like, no.
Yeah.
And he's like, great, then no. Glad we had this talk.
She also, like, indirectly asks him about traveling, and he demonstrates it on her shawl.
Oh yeah, that is one of their more charming.
And he's like, here is this. Here's Caitlin. Here's Kyrian. And I just bend the shawl
Bring
together.
them together and put a hole through it. And she's like, ugh.
A hole?
She's like, well, in my little thought experiments I've been doing with it, plus tell her on Riyadh, here's how I think it should be done. And he's like, oh, I just bore a hole. And she's like, okay, men are weird.
Yeah. And it's like, but Egg, that
Which I think I referenced in the last episode that they'll be traveling by the end of this, and I think Egg then takes her theory to Mogadien and is like, this is what I want to do, and Mogadien's like, oh shit, that's traveling.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks to Rand and Mogadien, Egg invents traveling. Reinvents traveling for women. Those are those 2 chapters.
Yeehaw, baby.
Yeehaw, indeed. Especially given the horse stunts.
They're so good.
Next week is a single chapter, so here's hoping we find enough to talk about. I think in my reading schedule, we just kind of had to end up with a single chapter at some point, so this is it. But yeah, we'll be back next week.
We sure will.
Thanks to Glenn and Mackenzie for our theme song. Thank you to you for listening. Thanks for following us on social media. Thank you to our supporters on Patreon.
You guys are the best.
Yeah, go check out if you are a $5 or above patron. We have a new installment in the In an Hour or Less series where Sally talks about the Olympics, which was very educational for me personally.
Gosh, thanks.
We also have Sally reading The Path of Daggers, tragically, and documenting her thoughts, feelings, and emotional crises as she goes. Blooper reels. We don't watch Outlander. The usual.
The huge.
The huge.
The huge. So if you need more of this,
Chaos.
you got it.
You got it, baby.
It's at your fingertips.
Do you have a sign off?
I don't.
Oh, fuck.
What's something bad that's happened?
What is something bad that's happened?
Well, this morning, this is very mild, but this morning, it was very rainy and snowy in Utah today, and when I went downstairs to bring our recycling can in, the recycling had blown over, and the bag had blown, like, all the way down the driveway.
Oh, no.
Like, into the bushes. So I had, like, my little towel on that I dry my hair with, and I was, like, I was wet. Obviously, I didn't have a coat because I was just going to pull it in. And so it was me. And then I was like, Tybalt's going to run out because I left the door open. I had to like scoop my little boot down to get it. And then it was soaking wet. So I had to come in and dry off the recycling liner with a dish towel.
That's so tragic.
It was I was just like, this is how today's going to go. It was 8 a.m.
It was how today went.
Yeah, I was also woken up before this 2 hours earlier at 6 a.m. by Tybalt trying to climb my bookcase. He was just like, this is what I need to do. Bookcase is ladder now.
He's so stupid.
He's dumb. No brain cells. Not a thought behind those big, beautiful green eyes.
Alright, we're gonna go watch Sex and the City or something.
I'm gonna make din-dins. I hungry, baby.
Alright, have a good week, everyone.
Bye, we love you.
Bye.